Happy Monday. This is Stephanie from Lalo Acres. I decided to come out and show you all the chickens, and I have an abundance of eggs, like a lot of eggs. And I have broccoli and scallions and parsley and all kinds of really good garden produce that I thought I could make a quiche with. So we're gonna see what's in here. We're gonna grab, look, some more eggs. This is awesome. I think I have about almost 2 dozen eggs just in the last 4 days. I have 10 layers, so they finally started producing again now that the weather is getting warm, and I'm really excited about that. So let's grab our stuff and go inside. Over here in this bed, I have broccoli. I grew, I want to say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 plants. Most of them, after I harvested, have gone to flower, the little remaining broccoli. I have one more over there that I'm gonna take out and put in the quiche. Ooh, a bee. That's good. And then I have a bunch of scallions, or green onion, I should say, that I'm gonna put in as well. Snow peas coming soon, and carrots. Lots of carrots, and I'm gonna snag some parsley that's hiding underneath in here. So we're gonna get this quiche going. Oh, and over here as well, look, cabbage. Lots and lots of big, beautiful cabbage. So we're gonna get that out too. So it's gonna be fun. So we currently have about 19, 20 chickens, I believe. These are the babies in here. Then we have the teens, the teenagers. And we're just finishing up the chicken coop area here for them at night, and the door we're working on. They're really sweet. They always come in here for their food. But I think this one back there is not a lady. I believe she is a he, because I've been hearing crowing. And unless this one is. No, I think that one's a rooster. Because I'm hearing crowing, and I've been hearing crowing subtly, and I'm starting to think now I need to keep my eye out, because we had a rooster before that I was not happy with. You have to train them well. And then those are the mamas. Well, she's mama, the blonde, but then we have the grown. They're all checking me out, looking for more food. I just brought in some scraps from the house. Yeah, a whole pizza that got flipped over onto the ground. Yup. If you can hear me out here. So what I did was I went outside and I gathered all of my ingredients that I'm going to use fresh. So my eggs that you saw I grabbed, broccoli, it's all washed now, parsley, and some scallions. Got my eggs ready. Y'all can see them down here. I have to move the camera a little bit. And I'm gonna do 2 different cheeses. Obviously not, you know, organic or organically grown, but. And then I did have some leftover peppers, some white onion, and red tomatoes that I have prepped. Those are from the store. I got them last week. Just because our production isn't up yet, but I do need to use them because they're getting a little, you know, weathered being in the fridge. And then my pie crust. Now, I do make my own pie crust from scratch, and I usually just use straight butter. I don't purchase lard or use any shortenings or anything like that. However, I was in a pinch. I needed to make a dessert last minute, and so I grabbed the 2 pie crusts. I figured I'll just use this anyway. So kind of works out well, and I'm using up, you know, things that I have around my kitchen. So yeah, and I think while I'm showing you what I'm doing here, I'll also tell you a little bit about Jeff and I and the kids and how we ended up here. So back in 2020, right around when the pandemic started, or hit, I should say, a couple months into it, and Jeff and I really realized that we loved gardening. We wanted to be able to have, you know, the ability to grow our own food and have things accessible, given that, you know, there were some times where we all couldn't just run out to the store and get the things that we really needed or wanted. So we started a little garden in our backyard where we lived closer to the suburbs, and it grew, and Jeff learned the trade of hydroponics, and that was really fun to watch and see, you know, the differences between growing in the water system of hydroponics versus in a raised bed with the dirt and things of that nature, and really kind of educating ourselves. And we found that it was something we enjoyed very much, and it was great in a downsized way, but we wanted bigger. So I just put my pie crust in here like this, and I made sure that it was somewhat at room temperature before I rolled it out so it won't crack. I'm going to show you this too. I pre-cooked some bacon just because I like it a little crispy, and I figured I'd kind of get that out of the way beforehand. And I'm also going to take some of the bacon fat that's in here, and I'm going to put it into my skillet, and I'm going to saute the onions and the peppers that I'm going to chop up and just get them ready with some of the bacon fat before I put it into my quiche. It'll give it some great flavor, and you're utilizing everything that you have. Put some of the fat in here. Probably comes out to maybe a teaspoon worth. And my setup's not great yet, so bear with me here, I'm getting there. So now I'm gonna chop up the onions and the peppers, and I'll throw them into my pan. And while those are sauteing slightly, we'll continue on with the next steps. Back to how we ended up here. So like I said, as we were growing and really understanding and learning, growing our own food and growing our family and all of that, we figured if we want to continue to do that on a bigger scale, we would need, you know, a little more space. Now, don't get me wrong. You can literally have a garden, do hydroponics, even down to chickens in a smaller space. I know people who have half an acre, third of an acre, and do all of that as well. But for us, we just knew that we would want more. So we ended up out in Lake County and purchased a 5-acre property, you know, newer home. It was only 2 years old, and thought, you know, this is going to be a great way to kind of focus on outside, which is our goal, even down to teaching our children, instead of focusing so much on the structure where we are. So that's the direction we went in purchasing this property. And so now we're outside all the time. We are gardening and building. Jeff is constantly constructing new and innovative things to help our homestead function better. Solar panels that he's in the process of building, and he built a rain catching system, which was super cool. Extended the chicken coop, you know, just different things that are there to help make our homestead process a little easier, especially in the times now where things are a little more challenging. So I'm going to put this into the pan. Turn it down a little bit. Let that go. And then I'll slice up the tomato. I'll do the other part of the pepper. I have a couple peppers that I could probably cut up and add more, but I'm going to make red Thai curry tonight, and I love a ton of veggies in my red Thai curry, so I need to reserve a little bit, but we'll add this. This is about a quarter of a white onion and I'm gonna say about a quarter of a green pepper. And I definitely picked up the ones that were looking a little weathered. I tend to do that often so that I can rotate my produce, make sure that things are getting used. I do give the hens a lot of, you know, produce or bread that's getting stale, things like that, that might be a little past its shelf life for cooking. So that's really great because they get extra nutrients and nourishment, and I don't feel like I'm wasting. I don't like to waste. That's one thing I'm really big on. We use a lot of our leftovers. I make new meals out of them, so it's pretty awesome, actually. This is the broccoli I harvested, and I'm gonna cut off the stems. I save these stems. I chop them up. Sometimes I put them in the food processor. I've made broccoli balls, which is basically you take the stems because they're denser and sweeter, and you can mix them with egg and cheese and breadcrumb, almost like meatballs, but it's broccoli. They're vegetarian, full of fiber and protein, protein from the eggs and that you're mixing in there to make the meatball, and then all the veggies. It's really good. So I'm just gonna give this like a light chop. I'm gonna put it in here to this bowl. To this bowl, I'm gonna add the broccoli, the tomatoes. I'm not gonna saute the tomatoes with the onions and the peppers because they'll get a little mushy, and then I think it'll be more like a sauce. You could do that. I don't see why you couldn't. It would kind of represent a little bit more like a, I would say like a, I forgot the name of it. It's an egg dish where you add tomatoes in the skillet. Y'all probably know what I'm talking about, but I can't think of the word. Let's see, it starts with an M. I can't think, but yeah, comment below if you know what I'm talking about. So I'm gonna throw the tomatoes in here, and then I'll just shred up some cheese. And I'm not cutting these tomatoes really big, honestly. They're probably maybe like cut in fours because they're so soft. If I cut them too small, I think they're gonna get even more mushy. I don't really want that. Okay, so that's done. We're gonna give a quick, grab my towel, stir up the piece here. It smells so good in here. But I think that's just because everything smells and tastes better with bacon. So Jeff and I ended up out here with the kids, and it was really nice because the house had a few hens in the chicken coop and like three raised beds that it had looked like they hadn't even planted or used yet. So we started out with those and then just kind of expanded. And we used a lot of the materials that we had already on the property. And just kind of our first year went with the flow. We didn't really have a full plan per se. We took the knowledge that we did gain from living in our other property and kind of utilized it here, but you know, there was a lot of changes. We're in a bigger space. We don't have a lot of shade, so the summer was really hot and we weren't fully aware of, you know, how much watering would need to be done. And so that was a challenge a little bit, but we learned from it. Jeff put in drip irrigation for the raised beds, which is really helpful so far. And so we've been growing a lot of produce that way. I have my full wicking bed that Jeff also built. He is amazing. And that's all lettuce and strawberries. If any of you don't or aren't familiar with wicking, it's basically a self-watering bed where the water is pulled up through the bottom, rocks and soil, and helps keep the dirt wet so that the roots don't dry out. So it's kind of an easier way to water your garden bed without having to go out every day, twice a day. And things like lettuce need a lot of water. So it's really cool. I'll have to show you that. And to this bowl, which is super full of veggies, it's awesome. We're gonna add the parsley that I grabbed. It's not like a full head worth that you would get at the store. but it's probably gonna be equal to 1/4 cup. And I do a lot of dried herbs too, a lot actually. But something is to be said about using fresh herbs. It really does change the freshness and the taste of the food I'm making, and so we're gonna add that as well. And let's see. After that, we're gonna add, I'm gonna use a little cumin, garlic powder, paprika, and salt and pepper. I don't really have a lot of garlic left. My mom brought me some from New York from her garden, and I want to save it for the red Thai curry I'm going to make tonight. And I've never grown cumin when I haven't bought like any other way versus the powder, so I guess we're just going to use that. And I don't really measure. I know a lot of chefs or people who bake or cook do a lot of measurements. I know if I'm baking like bread or desserts or things, I follow strictly to that. But when it comes to cooking, I'm a little more versatile. I don't stress too much about the measurements. I can kind of eyeball things, and I think it allows you to have a little more freedom with the flavors and the taste based on how much you like or dislike something. So I actually enjoy cooking that way very much. This is gonna be crazy, but I'm gonna take some of this bacon here. That's why the other way I do it. I'm gonna put a little on the bottom of the pie crust and just spread it out like that, just to give that little extra bacon flavor. And the remaining bacon grease that's on the pan here, I will pour into a jar and put it in the fridge, and it lasts a really long time. And I use it to saute a lot of vegetables. Sometimes I add a little bit of it to, when it's warm, to salad dressing. Again, it's just another great way to use what you already have, and then you're not feeling like you have to buy other things to make up for what you don't have. So probably not the healthiest choice, but into the bowl I'm gonna pour about, I'm gonna say it's about 1/2 cup of milk. And I think I'm gonna add 6 eggs. We'll see how it looks. I'll show you how it looks. But as of right now, this is a pretty big bowl. And not a very deep pie crust. So now that we're out here, we've got our gardens really established, I feel. Our wicking bed. We added an extension off the back of the property where we dug up last summer and added, we put some corn in just to kind of test it out, see how it would work. But Jeff had redug everything out, made mounds, so we're trying different methods. Like I said, we did raised beds, hydroponics, wicking. This is the mounding method in the back there, no dig. So you layer your sticks and your stumps and your dirt and mulch, almost like a lasagna. You can look it up, it'll say lasagna gardening. And as all of the products break down and decompose, they provide nutrients into the dirt, which helps your garden. So it's a little less work too. We did dig out last year, which was tough. We had a neighbor bring over a tractor, which was super helpful, and we were grateful for that. But it almost seems like the more you disturb the land or dig out, the more the weeds want to come back. I'm not sure. Correct me if I'm wrong, but so just trying to layer everything, I think helps control the weeds a little bit, and as well as it provides nutrients back into the soil so that your vegetables and produce can thrive. So we'll see. I'm gonna, be back to show you that. We just planted yesterday corn, watermelon, and cantaloupe, and that's on the one mound side. And then the other mound side, I did a couple weeks ago, cauliflower, beets, strawberries, and cabbage, and a few rows of giant noble spinach. And everything's growing, so a little slow, and I think it's because I planted them a week before the last frost, thinking we weren't gonna get another frost, but we did. So it's kind of like a hit or miss, but I'm patient, and I believe that it's all gonna work out, so I'm excited about that. here is 6 eggs with all of the produce ingredients I showed you. And typically you would mix up your eggs first, but I wanted to show you all the ingredients later together. So I'm just kind of mixing it into the bowl with everything. And like I said, there was a 1/2 cup of milk. Sometimes I like to take a little bit of the cheese and put it on the base of the crust where I put the bacon fat. Kind of layering the quiche as well, just to give extra depth and flavor as it's cooking. So I think we'll try that. I have Swiss Tillamook, is a really good brand. And then this is fresh Parmesan. I used to buy a lot of, need a grater. I used to buy a lot of shredded cheese, and when I learned through the years about the cellulose, which is a non-caking agent in shredded cheese, kind of did my research because I didn't really know what it was. I didn't really like what I read, so I've gotten out of buying shredded cheese. I really like the fresh bricks of cheese, or even the sliced is okay. It doesn't have that in there as well. And I feel like the flavor is just better. One of the girls that I really, really like on YouTube, her name is Becky, and she's from Acre Homestead. And she does a lot of similar things. Actually, she's like my inspiration. But she has educated a lot for me. Well, I learned all this on, you know, quality of food and, you know, why things that are more closer to their more natural state are better for consuming, obviously. And also using America's Test Kitchen cookbook, which is really awesome. Has great techniques. You learn so much, even down to like how to cook a steak. And also recipes. YouTube is my best friend now. So here I am adding, I put in some grated Parmesan, and then I am shredding the sliced cheese. I usually, like I said, have a brick, but this was a last minute decision when I saw all the eggs this afternoon that I had, and the broccoli that I knew I needed to harvest because it was starting to flower, and then I saw the peppers and tomatoes, you know, starting to weather. I thought, okay, we're gonna make this up. And we eat a lot of quiche and eggs in the house because I have them readily available, more so now than I did before. Now that the ladies are into the warmer weather, they're doing much better. And I think it's their second molt that they're in now. So I didn't, you know, prepare perfectly for the cheese factor, but shredding a slice is not a problem for me. So this is all mixed up really well. My husband taught me a really cool thing. Apparently, you're supposed to add your salt and pepper to your eggs towards the end of when you're making them, because it keeps them fluffy. But that's in the sense of using scrambled eggs. This is a quiche. You can't really add the spices towards the end, so I am putting the salt and pepper in now, because I don't want it to be bland. Not everybody approves of salt or pepper, or a lot of it, but I love a lot of pepper, a lot. And salt, I think, helps bring out the natural flavors in the foods that you're using. So, gotta have a little bit at least. I have the oven preheated at 375. That was the temperature I used for the bacon, and it's also going to be the temperature for the quiche. Usually takes about 30 to 35 minutes. But I also like to test it around 30 minutes. I put a knife in the middle to see if it comes out, you know, clean, no egg whites, loose egg whites or anything like that. And if there is, I go by a minute at a time and just add that little extra heat just to make sure that the eggs are cooked. I don't like to overcook it because then sometimes the cheese dries out, but it's all preference too. So I'm adding a little more Parmesan here, just because Parmesan is super, it's rich and it has a really good Italian flavor that I like. And I think that Parmesan is, you know, has a little zest to it. It really gives a good flavor. Okay, so that's done. And I'm gonna take one more slice. I'm gonna cut it into fourths. And I'm gonna put it on the bottom of the crust, pie crust. There's been a couple times that I've made quiche where I thought it looked a little, I guess, like it didn't have enough egg in it. So you can go back to your bowl and add a little more, you know, scramble up a little more, mix up a little more egg and milk if you feel like it needs a little more of that egg liquid, and then pour it over top. Perfectly fine. You can't, in my opinion, you can't really mess something like this up. It's pretty simple and straightforward, but it's delicious. And who doesn't like eating breakfast for dinner? We love it. And then usually we have leftovers for the next morning, so that's really nice. Okay. There's an onion there. There you go. I'm gonna put this in the oven at 375 for 30 minutes, and I will come back and you guys will see how it looks.
Wait.
Say hi guys, we're back.
Hi guys, we're back.
Are you my little helper?
I'm my mommy's helper.
Yeah. Here's the quiche. It's beautiful. Like, it smells so good. And I'm gonna cut you a piece so you can see. Malin, are you gonna try the quiche?
No, I don't like quiches.
No, you don't like quiches?
No.
You like scrambled eggs though.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, you do.
I love the white eggs too.
Oh, hard-boiled eggs. She likes hard-boiled eggs. I can't find my, hang on. I can't find my pie. I have like a pie knife. Like slides and really scoops it out really cool. Here, but here's a fork. Let's try this. Okay. So I undercooked it just a little bit. Yeah, show them. Here, get it closer. It looks really good. I didn't want the cheese to dry out. Let's see what the bottom looks like.
So it doesn't get wet.
It's a little golden. Can we taste it?
It looks really hot.
You want to taste it?
But it looks warm.
It is warm, see? It's steaming. You want to try it?
But that's okay.
Mmm. Ooh, that's really good. You want to try it?
No, I won't like it.
I have to say,
Is this KK's?
the cumin,
What is this KK's?
perfect.
What is this KK's?
Like-
Is this
And then
KK's,
paprika?
Mommy?
Yeah, that's KK's. Put it down, please. It's glass. Perfect. It has a little bit of like a Southwest flavor to it.
Yeah,
But,
it's
wow.
it's really good.
It's really good. And say it's good for you.